Hi, it's Therese from Lostinpaper and I'm here for Scrapbook Boutique, and today I'm going to be using this fun Happy Hedgehog set from MFT and showing you how I line up images when I'm wanting to do a multiple stamping. This is a really easy way to do it without having to draw lines on your cardstock, although that works well. You can also use your Misty tool if you have one of those, but today I'm going to be using my Fiskars stamp press, and this is nowadays the main reason why I would use my stamp press. And I've already die cut a rectangle from the wonky stitched rectangle set, and I'm using the grid mat and the grid lines as well as the edge of my cardstock. So I have my panel lined up so that the center can be, I can see that where the center of my panel is on my lines on my grid mat, but I've also lined up the top line on my Fiskars stamp press, and I'm lining up my hedgehog to the middle of the panel. I've also taken note of the left hand side of the card where that sits as I'm stamping this image out here. So I've done the same thing, I've used that same top line, but I'm also noting where that left hand line was so that I've got a guide to where I'm going to stamp my next image below it. So on my second line of images, I'm doing the same thing. So I've got my left hand line is still exactly where it was, and my top line, I can't line up with the top of the piece of cardstock anymore, but what I've done is take note of where it sits on the hedgehog above. So it's just above his feet, and I've stamped it in exactly the same spot on both sides. So I've repeated that again beneath both of the hedgehogs, but I'm counting how many lines there are to the base of the card now. It's because I can't actually line the feet up this time. I could kind of see it from the other edges, but I can just double check by counting the lines down at the bottom. The sentiment today is from, it's the Yeti set, and it's called Beast Friends. And I thought this would be a fun sort of sentiment to use because I'm going to have a highlight hedgehog in the middle of all these hedgehogs. And that's this one here with his arms, her arms I should say, waving in the air. And I did stamp that a couple of times with some tuxedo black as well, just in case I did need to recolour it, but as it worked out I did manage to get it all coloured in one go. I thought I'd share the process of how I coloured these images just with one of them, because they are all coloured exactly the same, except the centre one I just did add a little bit of pink to the cheeks. I have sort of laid down the highlight colour first, then brought in my shadow colour, and then blended it out with the sort of middle colour. And I thought it'd be really nice to sort of use like an orangey brown for this, and coloured every hedgehog exactly the same. I wanted it to make it look like, because the sentiment says that friends like you are rare, I needed my centre hedgehog to stand out just a little bit. The body of the hedgehog, I did get the warm greys out, the W's, and just kind of feathered it in really lightly from each edge. I didn't want to go overboard with this colouring because there is a lot of colouring on this card, so I did keep it fairly simple. I used the W2 just to add a simple shadow, and then some R11 to add some pink highlights. How cute is this little hedgehog? I just love the little arms waving in the air, and I coloured it the same, and then I decided to fussy cut it out, just leaving a little small white border. And I promise you, I do not fussy cut this fast. I think this is sped up like 4 times. The flower that I've got here, I just have selectively stamped that, just using a post-it note to mask off the section, like the stem and the leaves that I didn't want. And this is from the You Are the Best set, the little sheep set from MFT. I'm having an MFT day today, and I'm just quickly colouring this with some sort of pinky red colours, and then I also fussy cut that out as well. So I'm ready to put my card together now, and I've got my ATG gun, and I'm loving this machine now. I'm just holding the trigger. I don't let go of the trigger anymore. I think that was where I was coming undone. Pulling the tape along the card, not lifting it up until right at the very end of the card, and it just comes out beautifully. Love it. So I've cut my card base to the same size as the wonky stitched rectangle, And then using some micro glue dots to add the flower to my rare little hedgehog, because she's got to be rare somehow. It's only really the pink cheeks and the flower that make her rare, but that's enough. And have you seen these? These are the mini action wobbles. I love them. They're like one of my favourite new things. And I'm making interactive cards now, and I have never been able to really do those very well. So I'm simply just adding this little hedgehog to the centre. I'm using my grid lines again to make sure that it's nice and straight. And then I can just hold it down just to press the adhesive in place, because the adhesive's already on both sides of the actual action wobbler. I've got my crystal pen this is the clear one from Spectrum Noir, and I thought it'd be pretty just to add some shimmer to the flower on her hair, and that's my finished card. Thanks for joining me. I've had heaps of fun. Till next time, happy paper crafting. Bye.